It was a crisp autumn morning along the rugged coastline, the kind where the salt air mixed with the scent of wild grasses and distant waves crashing against the rocks. I'd come out to check the wildlife cameras around Grandpa Henry's old seaside cottage, just like he'd asked me to in his final days. That place wasn't just bricks and weathered wood. It was our family's anchor, protected as a cultural landmark since 2010, with all the proper papers filed: state registries, local bylaws, federal heritage acts, even special exemptions from the neighborhood association. Henry had wired up those digital watchers years ago, capturing seals basking on the shore, seabird flocks wheeling overhead, and the slow shift of tides that painted an unbroken record of nature's rhythm. It felt like guarding a piece of our soul, you know? Everything was calm until I heard the sharp click of designer boots on the pebble path leading to our land. This woman strode in like she owned the ocean itself, clutching a stack of glossy resort blueprints and what looked like official violation notices from some high-end development firm. Her sleek power suit screamed big city money, and she moved with that unshakable arrogance of someone who'd never heard no stick. Before I could even open my mouth, she launched into this polished pitch about progress and prosperity, like she was selling timeshares in paradise. "This spot's primed for a luxury coastal retreat," she declared, her voice slicing through the sea breeze like a knife. "Your folks should take our fair buyout and move on. It's time for real growth here." I stood there, blinking against the sun glinting off her flawless auburn hair, her sharp green eyes sizing up the property like it was already hers. She called herself Victoria Hale, and something about her tone made my gut twist. She acted like family history was just a minor glitch in her spreadsheet. I politely shut her down, explaining the ironclad protections Henry had locked in before he passed, turning our modest cottage into a shielded piece of local lore. The hand-hewn timbers, the stone hearth from generations back, it all stood for something bigger than cash. But Victoria waved it off with a smirk, claiming she had insider nods from a local board member and pre-approvals that trumped outdated filings. She even lunged for my folder of documents, her manicured nails grazing the edges before I yanked it back. "You can't just snatch legal papers," I snapped, retreating toward the cottage door where Henry's initials were etched into the frame. She pressed closer, crossing the threshold like boundaries didn't apply to her, insisting she needed to inspect for code breaches. It was surreal, this stranger treating our sacred ground like her personal playground. When I blocked her, her face hardened into pure venom. "Get off this public land, or I'll call the cops," she hissed, whipping out her phone like a loaded gun. My heart pounded as sirens wailed up the coastal road, turning our quiet haven into a flashing nightmare. Officer Ryan Mitchell pulled up in his cruiser, stepping out with that steady cop vibe, young but seasoned, eyes scanning everything. Victoria put on an Oscar-worthy show, tears streaming as she pointed at me like I was the intruder. She's squatting and harassing me, violating every rule in the book. Ryan turned to me first, asking me to step aside while he sorted it. I handed over Henry's meticulously organized binder, every permit tabbed and sleeved like a fortress of facts. He radioed dispatch, and the voice crackled back. "Carter Seaside Retreat, verified heritage site since 2010. All public record." Victoria's composure shattered. She stammered about database errors, but Ryan wasn't buying it. "Records are live and open to anyone," he said coolly, his gaze sharpening on her. When she tried pushing past him into the cottage, he blocked her firm. "False 911 calls come with fines up to $500 a pop, plus court fees. This isn't for settling business beefs." As he wrapped up, Victoria leaned in close to me, her whisper dripping with menace. "We're not done here." The words hung like storm clouds as she stormed off. By Wednesday night, the harassment ramped up. Slick brochures flooded our neighborhood mailboxes, blaring headlines about how the antiquated shack was stifling jobs and hiking taxes for everyone. Stock images of smiling workers and booming economies painted a rosy picture, ignoring the erosion of our coastal charm. Old Mrs. Ellis cornered me at the market, waving one like gospel. "Is some old cottage worth more than futures for our kids?" I pulled together a neighborhood info session at the community hall, laying out photos of the site's history, Henry's conservation efforts, the educational programs that had taught local schools about marine life for years. It started civil, folks nodding at the real value of preserving our roots. But then voices clashed. Mike Reynolds yelling about needing work, Lisa Chen firing back that selling out our heritage was foolish. Chaos erupted, shouts echoing off the walls. Sarah Jenkins, our level-headed HOA treasurer, started live-streaming it all, saying the world needed to see the divide. Amid the frenzy, I spotted outsiders in the crowd, slick types jotting notes, steering talk toward practical gains with loaded questions like, why cling to nostalgia over real paychecks? They weren't locals, they were plants, stirring the pot to fracture us. Through the window, a shadowy figure lurked by the pines, filming the mess, their gold watch catching the lamplight. As the night ended in disarray, I knew we were being played, our fights fodder for some bigger scheme. Come Friday morning, with the wind calm and skies clear, I fired up Henry's drone for the first time since he'd drilled me on it, despite my eye rolls about his overkill prep. The FAA license he'd made me get was paying off now. Up it went, buzzing over the treetops, revealing a web of luxury SUVs parked strategically along the back roads. My stomach knotted as the camera zoomed in on Victoria and her cronies huddled around a black sedan, blueprints sprawled out. Our lawyers spotted gaps in the filings, she boasted, her voice crisp through the audio. Official Thompson and the board chair are on board to fast-track eminent domain. There he was, County Official Thompson, stepping from a government truck, laying out internal docs. The eco reports missed deadlines. That voids the protections. He pointed at our cottage, and the group grinned as he pocketed what looked like a thick envelope. The maps showed the whole area slated for bulldozing homes, beaches, everything for their Seaview Paradise Resort. Signage peeked from a tarp in their truck, ready to stake claims. It hit me. This was no solo greed. It was a corrupt machine, insiders selling us out for kickbacks, planning to steamroll families one by one. Saturday dawned with my phone buzzing before dawn, an unknown number. Victoria's voice, laced with fake panic. Vandals wrecked our monitoring gear near your place. I hadn't touched a thing, buried in drone footage all night. Officer Mitchell rolled up again, face grim over property crime claims. I showed him around, but what he found blew the lid off. Shattered cameras that were cheap plastic fakes, QR codes linking to prop shops. No real damage anywhere. Henry's actual wildlife cams proved it, time-stamped and clear. Victoria couldn't even pinpoint the spots. She'd staged and yanked them pre-call. This is fraud escalation, Ryan warned her, notepad flying. Daniel Hale, her jittery ex-husband, hovered nearby, fidgeting with a bulging envelope in his pocket, eyes darting like he was about to crack. The showdown came Monday afternoon at the county hall, a packed forum called by Commissioner Ellis amid the uproar. Victoria waltzed in with her slick lawyer, projector firing up charts on jobs and growth, glossing over the wipeout of our coast. I countered with Henry's legacy photos, docs, the heart of why we fought. Then Daniel stood, pale but resolute, pulling that envelope. I can't hide this anymore, he said, voice cracking. Victoria took $250,000 to clear hurdles for the resort. The room exploded in gasps. She denied it, blaming divorce bitterness, but Sarah jumped up next, tablet in hand. I've got recordings. Her footage rolled, Victoria's team admitting they knew the protections held, but pushed anyway. I layered on the drone clips, the bribes, maps, fake props, call logs, all proving premeditated deceit. Laughter rippled at the toy cameras. Horror hit at the neighborhood demolition plans. Cheers erupted as flip-floppers like Karen Reynolds apologized, rallying against the con. Commissioner Ellis dropped the hammer. $500 fines per bogus call, totaling over $1,000. A strict no-contact order, breach meaning jail. An ethics probe that could yank Victoria's license. Her firm ditched her, clawing back the cash amid the scandal. Our site got beefed up, safeguards, bronze markers etched. Carter Family Seaside Retreat, preserved 2010, defended 2025. Henry's Cams became a public eco-hub, teaching kids about tides and stewardship. As the drone soared one last time over the untouched waves, I traced the plaque, whispering, "We did it, Henry." The fight wasn't just survival. It exposed how power preys on the vulnerable, turning neighbors against each other for profit. What would you do if a corrupt insider tried to erase your family's roots for a quick buck? Fight dirty or walk away? Is community heritage worth more than promised jobs, even if it means turning down big money? Drop your take below, smash that like if this fired you up, and subscribe for more real talk stories that hit hard.